Okay, so now that we scheduled that in-person consultation or whatever you want to call it, let's say you went there and now you need to create a quote. Maybe you didn't have to go there and you skipped the in-person thing and you just want to turn that one lead, whatever they requested, into a quote. So you can go up here, more actions, convert to a quote. And so we'll create from a blank quote. Not every plan has the custom quotes available. And so we're just going to call this window cleaning. And it's good to put a title that is very clear of the service that you're doing on that particular occasion, because if you ever add different services and you need to look back at the work history, you're going to want to know which appointments you did when. If it's a little too generic, like going from responsibid to jobber, sometimes it just says job and it has like a code, like a number for it. So you have to click deeper to figure out exactly what work you had done that time. So if you're doing things native in Jobber, you can actually sort through by having the name of the service you did, so you can see, okay, we did 5 jobs for them in the past 3 years, and 3 of them were window cleaning, 2 of them were gutter cleaning, or what have you. But now here you can save. You can do a lot of things in the settings to save pre-designed things. So I'm just going to go window cleaning full service. Let's say they have 20 windows. It just automatically populates there. You can add a picture, and you can customize the job quote forms to include pictures for each particular service so that you don't have to ever input that again. But I could have a picture there of somebody cleaning windows on the inside of a house that looks really nice and pristine. Then you can't do the optional line items in a lot of the packages, but it's available in the Grow and the Grow Plus plans. And it's a pretty cool feature to look at in the future. So let's say I wanted to do gutter cleaning. Now I would never charge only $100. I would always do, my minimum right now for gutter cleaning is $179. And so again, I don't have this fully functional yet, but this is just kind of a generic placeholder that they give. And I can make that, right now it's an optional item, right? So in the quote, I'll do a couple things. So I'll do one more. Let's do driveway. Let's just say this is $199. Okay, so I'm going to say pressure washing driveway. I want to give them a price for that, but I don't necessarily think they have to get it right now. There's time on that. Maybe there's not algae growth, but I just want them to see for in the future. But let's say the gutter cleaning, they really need to get it done. And so might as well be me, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click a recommended line item. Again, that's only available in the Jobber Grow plan. So this, which in my opinion, this makes it worth it with the upsells that you can get. You can always include other items that you give them a quote for, but it will group them all together. But now we're going to go down here. You can add text. You can, like if there's terms and conditions, if you want to make some clarifying comments, you can put that all there. But I don't need that right now. And then let's say you have terms and conditions, like you want to have some type of like some people have a scratch waiver. I haven't actually done a scratch waiver in a few years. I'll probably have to add one when I add employees here. But if you were doing commercial cleanups, you definitely want to have a scratch waiver. That's the main reason I would use them. Residential, you don't really have to worry about that as much. But you could put any terms and conditions, anything that you would want them to sign off on when they're approving the quote, you would drag that right into the attachments there. If you wanted to show pictures of exact work that you want to do and explain it and just make it very clear and thorough, you could also include that right there. Or in the images, rather, right down here. And you could add work we propose, and you could put that down in the images there. You could also put that up here. You could do customized things for each job, or you could just have generic things that are kind of replicatable across places. Now, this is a pretty cool thing. If you get Google and you set up the reviews, as people add reviews to it, it comes up on the quote form. And so this helps trigger their confidence in you as a provider because they're able to see real life examples. And sometimes they link these, or they could actually see, they click it and see that it's actually a real review online. And so they can say a client message here like, hey, this is what we as we discussed, this is what we had to say. This is what we spoke about. See what the rewrite does. So this is a pretty cool update I haven't played with, but using AI to write things. That's pretty cool, right? A couple seconds and you can just say, this is what we talked about, and it gives you something professional. And when you're a younger business owner, you want to try to be more professional sounding because they don't need to know that it's a teenager or a young adult who's taking care of them. You want to build trust, you can make it sound a little more professional. On the other hand, if you're, getting older, you get into your 50s, 60s, whatever, you could rewrite this based on something that's more casual, shorter, or cheerful, where you're just trying to make it down to earth. And you can kind of choose the flavor of the brand that you want. Now, this disclaimer is pretty important. You want your quotes to have a termination time. That way they don't email you back in a year and be like, oh, but you told me this was the price. And it also, the real reason is that it gives them a time limit. If you have a time limit, you'll make a decision. If you don't have a time limit, you may never make a decision. So you put an ultimatum on the timeline. That way they're provoked to make their decision quicker and you're not in limbo waiting, do you want it or not? Now, you can always go back to that same price. That's not a big deal. This is just a little placeholder. And you can say, yeah, sure, we'll honor that text just for you. Don't tell anybody else that we're doing that special for you. So internal notes, this is what you would write down that they can't see, but you could see for your own reference. Watch out for the dog. He's mean. And link note to related. So if you have jobs in the future or invoices in the future, you can link the note specifically to it. That way, if you go back and look in your archives and you're like, okay, we've serviced this customer, like I mentioned before, you've serviced this multiple times, you'll be able to see those details that you wrote when you created that quote. So now this green button, save quote, and you can email it or text it. And either way, it kind of comes through the same way. I'm going to go ahead and text it, and you'll see what comes up. Now, if you're texting it, you can actually take this link and copy it, and you can send it in other ways. Like if maybe you don't want to send it through Jobber's texting system. Maybe you want to send it through your own. You can just take that, copy it, and then create a text message on your own phone or through your computer, however you want to do it, but it'll automatically come here. Obviously, you can customize things more, but I'm going to go ahead and send that. And real shortly, it'll pop up. All right, so in the messages, I got the text from my Blue Ladder number. It says, hi, here's your quote. Click here. Now I'm going to go into that other. This is what the customer sees. Because I have the optional line items, this one, the box is checked. And so it says optional here, and it's automatically included. Now, if they uncheck it, it'll automatically update to just the one that they were asking for, the primary window cleaning full service for 360. See, and then it automatically shows the tax, which you have to set up on the back end depending on your local area. Some states and local areas don't require sales tax for window cleaning. My state does. So I have to report that and pay those taxes every month. But they can either just approve that main thing. Because I had recommended it, it automatically checked that box. Now, every time they check a service, it will automatically just calculate into the price and automatically put it there. Right here, they can see the time at the bottom. This quote is valid for the next 30 days, after which the values may be subject to change. They see all of the other reviews, and they see the little note I wrote. Hey there, we're excited to share. And so let's say they decided they want to get the whole gamut. They click those boxes, they add them in, whatever, and they can approve here or they can request changes. I'm going to take these off and then approve. And then here's the cool thing. They have to actually approve the quote. And this is extremely beneficial because this is like an official document. When they approve this, you could take this to the court. And I actually had an issue one time where somebody had approved a quote, but they decided to change their mind after I did the work. And so they had paid for it, but then they called their credit card provider. See, this is what shows afterward. They can download the PDF of what they signed. for their own record. So this is a full-on legal document. Now, you can't really enforce if you didn't do the work. You can't make them follow through with it necessarily. But after you do the work, if you fulfill everything that you guaranteed here, you have all your notes here, you have any attached terms and conditions, when they go, and what they did was they canceled the payment with their creditor, so it pulled the money back out of my bank account, and it was a fairly decent sized Christmas light job for $2,500. And I'm going to stop the screen share here. It was a $2,500 job that I had done. I had spent multiple days there. I actually overdid it. I did way more time there than I should have, and they decided they want to add more things to the list, and I didn't have the time for it. And so I explained that, but they didn't care. They were very short with me, very rude, and so I said, I'm sorry, I did what I could. I'll come back down to take down the lights. If I have time after Thanksgiving, I'll come back by. And they took the money out of my account. And I was only able to challenge it because I had a signed invoice that they had agreed to. And so all I had to do was the signed invoice and submit it as documentation. And I just said the customer approved this amount of work. They wanted to add more work that I didn't have the bandwidth for, and because of that, they canceled it. So I explained that just in very brief form, and it took some time, but I got my money back. You don't know how many service providers get there. This is why people like to use credit cards, is because you can cancel the service if they didn't do their job, and you can get your money back. They almost like provide like an insurance policy using a credit card. That's why you have to use a credit card to get a rental vehicle. It has like a built-in insurance policy in its own way. So anyways, it protects you in the long run. Is really valuable to have. Not every CRM has that, or sometimes they have it, but it's not required. So, but anyways, now I'm going to go back into Jobber, and give me 1 second. Okay, so I am in the home screen, and I need to go down here. See that quote now is marked as completed. And now I have, because they approved it, I emailed them the quote, they approved it. I can go into quotes, and when they approve it, they get given the opportunity to say what days and times work for them. And that would automatically show up in here. I just got to click in there, and it'll show me, okay, they approved the window cleaning. They didn't add the optional line items. And so I can go down. I can add notes if I have had communication since then. Watch out for the dog. He's mean. See, my personal quote is there still. And then this is a signed copy of the quote that gets saved in your archives. And now at the top, I can say convert to job. And then from here, I can add instructions for my team or for myself. If there's, maybe there's a little added thing that the customer requested, like, can you clean this chandelier? Or take care of this little thing. Maybe you want to throw in a freebie and you want them to be aware of that. You can include that in the instructions. But you're going to go down here, and in the job type, this is a one-off job. You can do a recurring job if you have like a storefront or something. It's pretty robust how you can set it up. You can say, okay, this is a year contract, or 6 months in this case, and you can pick the day of the week. See, very robust, very nice tool to have there for recurring jobs. But for a one-time job, you can, let's say it's going to be a big project. Maybe you're doing a really big building or a house that's going to take multiple days. You can do 2 days here. You can even pick multiple different days. But I'm just going to stick with 1 day and have the day and time. Let's say 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., 2 hours. Okay, great. Well, for $360, that's probably going to be a little bit longer. So let's just say it's a 2 a.m., 2 p.m., 3 hours. Okay. So I can schedule it later and just kind of have it floating in my calendar screen. And then say if you're in the middle of winter and they say they want to do it, but you just haven't been able to pick a date yet, you can convert it to a job and have it in your calendar. It's also really great for jobs like Christmas lights. When you might be doing a lot of jobs in 1 day, you convert it to a quote and you just tell them we're going to have it up by Thanksgiving, and then it's flexible. And in your calendar screen, you'll have a menu where it floats, and I can show that another day, another time. But it's kind of handy to have. But we'll just say we picked a day, and that's a arrival window, not the actual duration. You can adjust that. That's pretty cool. And this is very helpful if you haven't already been doing a lot of appointments. You can give them an arrival window. places like Verizon Fios or cable kind of things, when they set up a cable installation, they give you like an arrival window that might be like 4 hours. And so the customer just knows, okay, they're not going to get here until sometime in that range. I've found earlier in the day, I don't need an arrival window. I know I'm going to get there. But I build in just in case I get a flat tire and I have to patch it up. 30 minutes, like you're safe, right? So if you show there right on time and you had an arrival window, they're still happy. They're even more happy, actually. If you told them you're going to be there at 10:45 sharp and you're there at 10:45 sharp, it's like, yeah, we expected that. But if you say, we're going to be there between 10:45 and 11:15, they know they have to be there regardless. So when you get there on time, it makes them feel like you're early. So you set an arrival window. And then this is important. Always make sure this box invoicing, remind me to invoice when I close the job. Always have that checked for window cleaning at least. Other services, maybe you don't need that, especially if it's something free. If it's something free, you don't need a reminder. Like if I'm taking down Christmas lights, setting up an appointment, I don't need that box checked. But anything window cleaning, gutter cleaning, or a service that I'm doing that's being paid for, I include that. Job forms, you can create custom job forms. Like if you have an employee and you need a checklist for them, you can create a custom job form in your settings. You can click that and it'll take it straight there. And it would include that with the job. And that's usually for your side, so that they do everything that they need to. Like if you need to ask for a review, if you need to have any type of communication done or any extra steps, or even if it's just a step-by-step process for a particular service, you can automatically include that. So here it has the approved things, and we're just going to, I don't have to change anything. I can make additional notes again, but I can just save the job. You don't want to do that. You want to save it, an email or text, a booking confirmation. And you send the email, they'll get it to their inbox, and you're good to go from there. It's pretty straightforward. You can also include, again, the signed copy of the quote. They may not have downloaded it, but you can include it for their records. But pretty straightforward from there. You can upgrade with the growth plan. If you had line item expenses, you could say a particular job costs you a certain amount. You do not want to include the cost of labor. This would only be like expendable items. Like if you're doing gutter guards, the gutter guards, the price of the item would be included there. If you're doing Christmas lights and you're selling them the lights, you would include that there. So things like labor, you would not include. You could get into the nitty-gritty with something like chemicals, like if you're estimating the amount of squeegee rubber and soap or expendable items, maybe you use gloves. You could, boot covers, you could include the price of each one of those little things in there. That would be your cost of goods sold. It helps you kind of keep track of your margins in the long run. But typically, like if you think zero, you can track those other ways. That's fine too. And it'll later bring out the labor cost if you have an employee. It automatically tracks that too. It's pretty nice. Chemical tracking, you can do that for pest control, and other businesses use that. I plan on starting to use it for my pressure washing supplies, but this only comes with the upgraded packages, the Grow plan, I believe. But now everything's done, the customer approves their quote, you scheduled it, and they'll automatically get a reminder. I have mine set up. It usually comes on automatically, like in your plan. It will set it up for you. Turn on screen sharing. So it's the nice thing is Jobber comes in kind of plug and play. It'll automatically send them a job reminder, an email 7 days before the appointment, and then customizable 1 day or 2 days before the appointment. And you can add in text with some of the plans, I think, but it's pretty straightforward. You don't have to make adjustments. It'll automatically do that. You can go in there and change what it says to fit your brand, but if you just keep it how it is, kind of generic, it gets the job done. I've had it on the autopilot feature for the past 4 or 5 years, and I have not had an issue with it, so I haven't needed to change anything. I find that the day of the appointment, I don't like to have it emailed. I like to go the day before the appointment, so that way if they had something come up, they'll let you know before it's too late. And that's why you need to have those reminders active, which you'd have to go in there manually to deactivate it, so you don't have to worry about that usually. So if anybody has any other questions or needs more clarification, you don't necessarily need to go to me for that. I'm not like a Jobber expert. I use Jobber all the time, and so I have some adequate knowledge of it. But they also have their own little chat thing where, you just go ask for help. They have their little Copilot that's in beta mode right now, but it works decently for questions with Java. But they also have their own request forms, their own little chat box where you can communicate with them and they'll walk you through. They'll hold your hand. It's unlimited and it's free. And so if you're ever in a pinch, they got people 24/7 available for you pretty much. Reach out to them if you need help with Java.